All right. Now it's take two of MehariNation Sports Podcast here. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but now we are settled in and everything is under control now. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for coming in on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Now going to be evening time here in the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, right down at 4 p.m. Central Time. I'm Abil Mahari, the host of this show here, represented by the LDBC, the Lions Den boxing community. We got a good episode for you guys today. But before we continue, I want to personally apologize for arriving a little late. I was out at a friend's house. She just came back from Eritrea, and now she's trying to settle back into America and trying to eat all the fast food in the world now. So you know how that is, though, man. So, but thank y'all for coming in here today, though, man. I'm trying to make sure to be on time next time. But thank y'all for the support. I really appreciate that. Robert Stewart, good to see you, my brother. Thank you for coming in today, man. So today's episode, I want to talk about how the rematch between Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz. Why having this fight in Saudi Arabia is the worst idea you could ever think of, and why this shows an act of desperation on the part of Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn. But before we begin, I wanted to give you guys a little analysis and opinions on the fight that just happened earlier today. If y'all missed it, Sergey Kovalev knocked out Anthony Yard within round 11. I was kind of hoping that Anthony Yard could probably pull something out, but as my prediction and thought, his lack of experience, especially in big fights, really showed in that fight. Sergey Kovalev was able to control the fight from the outset, and then he was able to knock him out. So, he's got another huge win on his resume and keeps the WBO championship. And hopefully Anthony Yard can come back, regroup himself. He's a young fighter. He'll learn from this and probably will have another chance at a championship one day. But, he got a rude awakening there because a lot of good fighters at that light heavyweight division. So that's just a little bit of my analysis about that. So I wanted to discuss about the rematch that's going to take place by next year or hopefully soon between Anthony Joshua and Anthony Ruiz. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not expect Anthony Ruiz to knock out Anthony Joshua or even put up a decent fight, because when the fight was made, I thought it was just going to be another cherry pick type of fight, but it turned out it was a cherry pick that gone wrong. Nitty G, I see you, girl. Nice to see you. So here's what I really think about this whole rematch drama that's been going on. The truth of the matter is this. This move, to me, shows an act of desperation on the part of Matchroom Boxing, because here's why. Why would you want to go anywhere around to have this rematch? You could have had it in Vegas. You could have had it in Atlantic City, Madison Square Garden, where the actual fight took place. You could have done it in LA. You could have done it even I would say the UK, but I know no fighter would want to go to the UK anyway. You could have done it anywhere else, but you chose to go to Saudi Arabia, knowing for a fact that Saudi Arabia is a level 2 travel danger zone. You feel me? There's no reason at all to have that fight in Saudi Arabia. Now, this week, it was also reported by multiple sources that Eddie Hearn was going to threaten to throw a lawsuit until an injunction was in place. And then after some money was being thrown at Andy Ruiz a little bit more, I think he decided that he's going to go with the rematch in Saudi Arabia. Now, this is really suspicious to me because Saudi Arabia, if anyone else has been into that country, is literally the most strict country in all of the world. Real talk, especially in that Middle East. They don't allow alcohol. They don't allow any partying there. All right, because they should know that boxing fans from America and the UK, they like that. They like to drink and have a good time. You feel me? Now, this move to me, it shows to me that Eddie Hearn is trying to cash out. Because the fact of the matter is, he views Anthony Joshua possibly as a finished product, and if he gets knocked out again, he's got all the other mandatories lined up, especially with the WBO. You feel me? They're gonna plan on getting Anthony Andy Ruiz stripped of the WBO and IBF belts. All right. They don't want to see undisputed on the PBC side. Everybody knows this. If you don't, then you clearly are blind. The fact of the matter is this: Saudi Arabia is a horrible spot. They don't even have the building for the fight in place. So you're meaning to tell me that you're going to have a rematch there in the middle of nowhere in the desert? You basically only maybe 5,000 people are going to show up there. Probably the rich establishment people. There's not going to be any middle income or lower income people there. You can forget that idea. But the fact of the matter is this: why is it that Eddie Hearn is controlling the terms of where the rematch is taking place? I'm going to tell you why. Because Eddie Hearn is desperate to have all sorts of control when it comes to fights and when he sets up any fight that he does. He wants to make easy fights to make the most money. And more importantly, he wants to try to make sure that his fighters don't get touched or get exposed. But the bad news is Anthony Joshua cannot beat the top heavyweights. He can't beat Luis Ortiz. He can't beat Deontay Wilder. And he sure as hell cannot beat Tyson Fury. You feel me? That's the thing. That's the thing there, y'all. And the fact that you were going to try to shortchange Andy Ruiz for about $5 million, I would not even accept a travel to Saudi Arabia. It's literally not a safe place. If Andy Ruiz decided to go to court and say, listen, I don't feel safe traveling to Saudi Arabia because of all the travel restrictions and all the possible BS that could take place in Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? It's not a smart idea. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing too is Anthony Joshua is mentally shot at this point. He's really into denial of what's going on what happened into the fight and the aftermath. Because remember, his father said that something was wrong with him. He should not even be fighting. But they still went along with the match and he got knocked out. Right now, Anthony Joshua, if he loses his fight again, it's over. He will never, ever be mentioned as a top heavyweight again. This is big pressure on him. And I really, listen, in a perfect world, if I were Anthony Joshua's manager / promoter, I would let Anthony Joshua take a year off. Just don't think about boxing. Don't even think about the rematch. Take a year off, rest, and worry about. And then when you decide to come back, then we'll discuss about your options. But Eddie Hearn doesn't think that way. He only thinks about green, which is the money. So let's go ahead and check out the chat. Yeah, let's see. Nitty G and Robert Stewart saluting each other. That's great. Tunnel Vision says AJ may not even make it to the fight. Mental breakdown. And that stadium may not be done. Exactly, Tunnel Vision. Absolutely. You're 100% right. You know what I mean? It literally does not make any sense to have a fight that is an unknown territory where I know the U.S. government may not allow Andy Ruiz to travel there because it is a dangerous zone. Okay? Just remember what happened to that Washington Post reporter. Okay? He was killed by the Saudi family. Everybody knows this. So you mean to tell me that Eddie Hearn is going to try to take this as a lawsuit? Bro, I would say to Eddie Hearn, all right, you want to bring a lawsuit in? I can bring in a government injunction to state that the Saudi Arabia is not a safe place to travel. And no judge is going to buy into Eddie Hearn's case. That's why he dropped the case. All right. And just gave him the bigger purse, which he should have done in the first place. See, this is what Eddie Hearn does to a lot of these fighters. He'll try to sort of change you into thinking, oh, we try to offer him the fight. But then, and when you actually go into the story and ask the real people who were involved in the negotiations, they tell you different stories. Great example. When Gerald Miller failed his drug test, what happened in the reports, though? There was rumors and speculations that Matchroom Boxing was going to try to negotiate a match with Luis Ortiz. Now, they gave him about $5 to $9 million, his highest purse for them, right? But when it comes out into the reports that there was no offer that was being made, it was another lie that it was created by Eddie Hearn because he cares about creating headlines and controlling the narrative than just making good fights. If y'all don't see this by now, if y'all UK dudes, y'all UK trolls, I should say, that's not believing into this, I don't know what to tell you. I honestly do not know what to tell y'all. You feel me? Now, I want to talk about the mental capacity of Anthony Joshua because that's a big one for me. Get some water in. Now, what I've been hearing from Anthony Joshua, the times where he denied about him being knocked down, there was a lucky punch, and him attacking Lennox Lewis, that shows to me that Anthony Joshua is in denial about what really happened in the fight. Like, bro, you let a 6'4" fat man basically knock you down 4 times in the fight, and you end up losing the fight, bro. I don't care if you were concussed in sparring, which may have something to do with it. I don't care if you had a panic attack. Listen, you lost. Okay? Now the pressure's on you. I really don't think that Anthony Joshua really wanted to be in the spotlight. He just wanted to be a guy that was a good heavyweight, won some fights, make some money, and then live on with his life. I don't think he's the kind of guy that loves that kind of attention, unlike a Deontay Wilder who can basically handle his own on the spotlight. You understand what I'm saying? So, to be honest with you, I don't think Anthony Joshua's mental frame is really that strong. Because if you remember a couple years ago, before Joshua became champion, he said before that I'm just a heavyweight, just developing, trying to get my skills together. I'm not ready to face against the top heavyweights there. I'm kind of paraphrasing a bit, but you guys get the point. All right. But once he won his first belt against Charles Martin, okay, he took the IBF route instead of the WBC route because, again, he was in line to have a shot at Wilder's belt, but then he took the other route in the IBF belt. It was an easier fight, as it remains to be seen, but he took that route. And after he beat Charles Martin, there was a lot of people that were not sold on Anthony Joshua up until the Klitschko fight, all right? But to be honest with you, I really believe that people overblew that Klitschko situation because Klitschko was off for 2 years and lost all of his belts to Tyson Fury. And the reason why those belts were on the line is because Tyson Fury went on a drug binge, went on an obesity binge, and basically stopped boxing for 3 years. Okay? So if you really want to think about it in hindsight, Joshua never really earned those belts. They were basically hand-me-down belts. All right? He never beat Tyson Fury for them belts. He never faced against Tyson Fury for those belts. Okay? So Joshua, to everyone's eyes, is a fraud. And I see it the same way. You understand? And when you have all these people like the Eddie Hearns of the world and others that are giving you unnecessary hype that you never really truly deserve, you're really putting yourself in a bad position where if you suffer failure, you don't know how to overcome from it. And it looked like to me, Anthony Joshua is the type of guy that basically was given a lot of things in his life and never really understood the essence of working your butt off and really coming back from adversity. But this is going to be the very first time in his entire life that he's facing real, true adversity. Can he bounce back from it? I don't know. I don't believe he won't. There are people out there who believe he will, but we'll see what happens though. And the thing is, the thing that really made me dislike Joshua even more is the way he disrespected Lennox Lewis by calling him a clown. And the fact that there are a lot of other UK fans that buy into what Anthony Joshua is saying is really disgraceful and disgusting. The UK fans traveled in droves in 1999 to watch Lennox Lewis become undisputed heavyweight champion. All right. The last true undisputed heavyweight champion. He beat Evander Holyfield twice. And I'm saying twice because the first fight was a complete travesty. All right. He beat Evander Holyfield in that first fight and got jobbed. All right. He beat him the second time and won all the belts. All right. And at that time, he was in high regard as probably one of the all-time greatest heavyweights in UK history. But people preferred Frank Bruno over Lennox Lewis, which is completely disgusting. All right? Listen, the difference between Frank Bruno and Anthony Joshua is that at least Frank Bruno fought against the best of his era. All right. He fought against Mike Tyson. He fought against Lennox Lewis. He fought against, was it Razor Ruddock? He fought against a lot of good fighters of his time. And though he lost, he showed a lot of courage in those fights. All right. Joshua has not even come close to that status. All right. Listen, when you disrespect a guy like Lennox Lewis, who made it his whole entire mission of his career to fight against the best, you really got nothing to say other than to just accept advice or be polite about it. But Anthony Joshua tried to play, macho man, and it really backfired on him. And I'm telling you, he's in for a rude awakening. I'm talking about Joshua. Joshua is going to be in for a rude awakening when the rematch happens. Because truthfully, he can't move his head. He doesn't have that good crisp snap to his punches. All right. And he's too muscular. Like, when you stand against him in the ring, you look at him as a bodybuilder than a fighter. All right. The dude needs to lose some muscle, learn how to use those muscle fibers to get those snaps to his punches. All right. And the fact of the matter is, if he don't learn how to move his head or anything like that, he's going to get smoked again. And Andy Ruiz has very quick hands and knows how to fight with his size. So it's going to be another tough matchup again when those two fight again. But we don't know if the fight's going to be confirmed yet until Andy Ruiz confirms that the fight's going to be on. Now, there have been reports about it throughout the week, but I'm not going to buy into any of that until it actually comes through the horse's mouth. And that is from Andy Ruiz. All right. I don't trust anything what Matchroom says. All right. They've been proven to be liars, manipulators, and try to deceive the truth. Okay. I don't take anything what they say seriously until actually different sources come out and say that it's actually truthful. All right. I'm just waiting for that. And until that happens, I'm not buying any of it. So that's basically what I thought about it too, about Anthony Joshua's mental state, and more importantly, why Saudi Arabia is a horrible spot. And more importantly, and here's another thing that I think people don't see this too. There's basically no drug testing there in Saudi Arabia. Many of the bodybuilders there go to the Middle East for these manufactured drugs that help them improve their performance. Okay, so if it's an attempt to try to, let's say, get an advantage for Joshua, is yet to be seen, and I'm not sure if it's true. So don't take my word for it. But in actuality, though, guys, the thing is, I just really think that they're trying to cash out Anthony Joshua, trying to cash him out, and trying to make sure that Anthony Joshua gets every advantage in the book. And this is what Andy Ruiz is going to be going against if the fight happens in Saudi Arabia. Okay. And if Anthony Joshua gets hurt in sparring or doesn't come in there readily prepared, it's a wrap. Everybody knows this. All right. Everybody knows this, that if Anthony Joshua does not improve his performance and does not win, you can pretty much say goodbye to his rank as a heavyweight contender for good. That's just what it is. All right. Nobody can change that. Nobody can make up any lies in the book. All right. Now I want to talk about some other stuff there too before I wrap this up. We got at least about 12 minutes to go before I wrap this up. Okay. Why is it that Dillian White is getting somewhat of a pass, but his B sample has not came out yet? All right. Why is it that USADA is trying to cover this whole thing up? All right. Oscar Rivas should file lawsuits left and right. Because if he could have died in the ring, do you understand how bad that it would have been? It would have been really, really bad. All right. You understand what I'm saying? So if Dillian White is the next in line, the dude's going to get smoked in either way too. He can't beat Tyson Fury. He can't beat Luis Ortiz, and he can't beat Deontay Wilder. And he was never really, truly the mandatory. So I'm so sick and tired of him talking about it's been 600 days that have been the mandatory when you actually were never, ever the mandatory in the first place. And you had multiple opportunities to be the mandatory for Wilder's WBC belt. So get out of here with that. William School Arnett, my brother, man. Hey, bro. I hope things are going well for you, my friend. I've been thinking about you, brother. Real talk. And he said AJ made no changes to his training team. You're right. And that's the other thing though, too. Robert McCracken, to me, is not a good trainer for this kind of situation. Okay. He should have went to an American trainer and help him with his fitness, get rid of that unnecessary muscle and work on speed and movement. That's how you're going to beat a guy like Andy Ruiz. You put Andy Ruiz against Deontay Wilder, y'all know what's going to happen. I mean, nobody's blind to what's going to happen. All right. Andy Ruiz is going to get smoked by Wilder because Wilder is much more faster and he fights to his actual frame and he has better movement than Anthony Joshua. Everybody knows this. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody knows this. So the bottom line is, if he hasn't made any changes to his crew, I just don't see Anthony Joshua pulling out of this rematch. I really don't. You feel me? It's really a bad situation right now. If you're a fan of Anthony Joshua, you just don't know what crew is going to show up that night when those two fight again. I have Anthony Ruiz stopping him again, and I think he might stop him even earlier because it wasn't a lucky punch like Joshua's been saying. It was not close to a lucky punch. That was a beatdown, bro. That was a pure beatdown in the worst way. You feel me? So, honestly, though, man, this is a big moment for him. This is a big moment for his crew. This is a big moment for Anthony Joshua and for the rest of his crew. All right? If they don't win this rematch, it's over. Y'all know this. All right? There's no way to try to spin this or try to twist this. It is what it is. All right? So, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, though, y'all. So, thanks for tuning in, though, man. I'll be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central Time, and I promise to be on time and make sure to keep up my promise to all you guys. So, this has been Abil Mehari, representing MehariNation Sports Podcast. Y'all have a good night.